Hi, Larry Koonse with EliteGuitarist. You've just heard a version of All the Things You Are by Jerome Kern. This piece is probably one of the most often recorded pieces. It's been recorded by so many different artists, it would be difficult to even talk about all of them. I can remember versions by Keith Jarrett, by Pat Metheny. There's a really iconic performance by Charlie Parker called Bird of Paradise. And I think they called it Bird of Paradise to avoid paying publishing at that time. They didn't want to call it All the Things You Are because they'd have to pay the Jerome Kern estate. But that was based on All the Things You Are. So we're talking about a staple of the jazz repertoire. So Jerome Kern was a composer who wrote primarily for Broadway, wrote for Broadway musicals. And there's a number of tunes that you might be familiar with that he wrote. I'm Old Fashioned, which is actually another piece that I'm going to be arranging. Old Man River from Showboat. And so this is classic American writing in that vernacular. So let's get to brass tacks here. Let's start our journey. It's very common for a piece, before you play the piece, to play a short intro. And in the case of my version of All the Things You Are, I've done just that. I've written a really short intro. It's actually a bar before the melody starts. So there's a bar before the first bar, and that's the intro bar. Also, I've chosen to play this piece in rubato. All the other pieces that I'm going to be focusing on in the next video lessons are, for the most part, in time. There might be rubato sections, but they're going to be in time. So let me just make a point about that really quickly. So if we're working in rubato, swing does not come into effect, because in rubato, straight eighths have a much better flow. So what I've done here before the first bar of the piece, which is F minor, I've put a 2-5 in front of that, which is essentially the end of All the Things You Are, to set up F minor. G minor 7 flat 5 going to C7. Okay, so here's our G minor 7 flat 5. So that's a G minor 7 flat 5 with a C on top, which is the 11th. Okay, our left hand, it bars the 10th fret from the 5th string through at least 3 strings, 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string, with your first finger. The second finger is on a G flat. First finger is on F, and the C is played with the 4th finger in the left hand. Okay, on the right hand, you just dedicate a finger to each string. And I like to slightly roll these chords to give them a sense of dimension. Okay, so that's a G minor 7 flat 5. Root, flat 5, 7, minor 7, and the 4th degree on top. Now I have this little chromatic line. Kind of really evocative line leading to this next chord. All right, so that's performed by going to 3, move the 3rd down, the 3rd finger down from the 12th fret to the 11th fret to grab the B flat. First finger on the A, and that sets up the next chord, which is a C7, sharp 9, sharp 5. Okay? Sorry, no sharp 9 in that chord, just sharp 5. Okay, that's on the 8th fret with the first finger on C, B flat, again, 8th fret, 2nd finger, E natural, the major 3rd on the 3rd string. This would be on the 9th fret, G sharp, again on the 9th fret with the 4th finger. Now that's a G7 sharp 5. Here's your standard C7, C, the root, B flat, the dominant 7th, E, the major 3rd, and G sharp, the sharp 5, or A flat inharmonically. Okay, so we do this line here that goes. Now we have another little chromatic line that I'm creating here to create tension. The sharp 5 goes to the regular 5, and that's with the 3rd finger. And then the new chord here is a C7 with a flat 9 and a sharp 5 on top. Okay, so our 2nd finger on the 7th fret plays the E, C sharp, 1st finger on the 6th fret, flat 9, F sharp on the 2nd string with a 3rd finger, and then that resolves to the 4th finger, G, to the 5th, flat 5 to the 5th. It's a nice setup for the very first chord of the tune, which is an F minor. Okay? I'm going to do that one more time, really slowly. Again, this is the very first bar before the beginning of the tune. Okay, now our first chord is an F minor triad. Now, some people might ask, why isn't Larry throwing in the 7th? The reason I'm not throwing in the 7th is because I want this chord to be a real place of rest. When you throw in the 7th, it doesn't feel like a place of rest. This feels like it's really establishing the key. Okay, 1st finger on F, that's on the 8th fret, 5th string. 3rd finger on C, that's on the 10th fret, 4th string. 2nd finger on A flat, that's the minor 3rd. It's a C, it's an F minor triad. F, root, C, the 5th, A flat, the 3rd, minor 3rd. Okay, and then we have a little run up to the next chord in bar 2, and that little run up basically is a little scalar passage. So instead of just going, which is the original melody, I've embellished the melody. Okay, so now that little run up is fingered this way. So you go up to the B flat with your 4th finger on the 2nd string, 11th fret. C is on the 1st string on the 8th fret with the 1st finger, and then you grab the next chord right here. That's a B flat minor 7. So on the bottom we have the root, B flat, 4th string, 1st finger on the 8th fret. On the 10th fret we have the 4th finger playing F, right? On the 2nd string we have A flat with the 2nd finger. On the top string we have a D flat with the 3rd finger. That's a B flat minor 7th. Root, 5th, F, A flat, 7th, D flat, minor 3rd. So here's that first chord again. To the B flat minor 7. Now, in the second half of that second bar, because we're now on the second bar of the actual tune after the intro, I have a little arpeggiated walk-up to the next pitch of the melody, and it goes like this, to the E flat 7. That right there is an arpeggio. D flat is the minor 3rd of B flat minor, F is the 5th, A flat is the minor 7th. So you play D flat on the 11th fret with the 4th finger on the 4th string, and then on the 3rd string on the 10th fret you play the F, 3rd string, 2nd string A flat on the 9th fret, with, on the second string, second finger. Okay, so we have. So this is actually, technically it's bar 4. That last bar was bar 3 because we're counting the intro as bar 1. Okay? So this is an E flat 7. And it connects very nicely after that arpeggio to the next melody. So instead of going like this with the melody, which is the original melody, we're embellishing it. Okay, this E flat 7 is found on the 6th fret. First finger on E flat, second finger on D flat, fourth finger on G, second string. Sixth fret, E flat, 6th fret, 3rd string, D flat, second finger, 8th fret, 2nd string, 4th finger. So that's an E flat 7. We repeat the melody there, and then we go to what is a substitution. Really common substitution in jazz. It's called a tritone substitution. I won't go into detail about this chord right now because in the going deeper sections of video lessons, this chord is talked about a lot, especially in the intermediate and advanced level. You can find it very easily by looking for chord substitutions in any of those lessons. So E flat 7 and A7 are very similar. It goes down a bass note. You'll see that we're holding on to these pitches when we go to the A7. So here's the first finger on A, 5th fret, 6th string, third finger on E, that's on the 7th fret, 5th string, second finger on C sharp, that's on the 6th fret, 3rd string, fourth finger on G, that's on the 8th fret, 2nd string. It's a really nice motion. And then we have this nice motion where this bottom part goes down like that, a half step. A, that's an A triad, A, E, and C sharp, with a G, which is the dominant 7. That bottom half goes down a half step and it becomes a major chord. And we keep the G on top because that's the major 7. So let's look at this motion here. Very easy to make this motion because this is all parallel. You just move that whole shape down a half step while keeping the G on top. So it sounds like this. See how that works? And then we grab the C on top by barring those two strings, right, at the 8th fret with the 4th finger. This is the B string and the E string. So those two bars from bar 4 and bar 5 sound like this. Really satisfying motion, right? Okay, let's continue. So then the melody continues to F, right? But we get there with a chromatic passage, and we're going to use the 4th finger just descending. All right, so on the second string, 4th finger, 8th fret, 7th fret, 6th fret. Okay, now what we're going to do is grab a D flat major chord. And this is a little bit of an awkward fingering, but it's worth it musically because we're going to bring out an inner line. There's a F, which is the 3rd of the D flat major chord. Here's the root, D flat. Second finger on the 4th fret, 5th string. So this is the next few pitches we want to bring out. It's an inner voice. See how that sort of embellishes the sixth there? So we grab the major seventh with the third finger on the 5th fret, 3rd string. Then we go down to the 2nd fret. This is a bit of a stretch. Again, it's worth the stretch. 2nd fret, 3rd string, 1st finger, and then we go up to B flat, 3rd fret, 1st finger. Then you repeat the F on top. So this is from bar 5 again. Next chord is a G7. Really nice surprise coming from that D flat major 7. D flat major 6 kind of sound there. Hear that voice leading? Okay, this is a G7, root, 3rd, dominant 7. G natural, 1st finger on the 3rd fret. B natural, 2nd finger on the 4th fret, 3rd string. F, 2nd string, 4th finger on the 6th fret. That's a G7. Now we're gonna play another tritone substitution. That's a D flat 7. It's a tritone away from the bass. Really common form of substitution, like that previous tritone substitution that we encountered. Okay, so this is a D flat 7. 1st finger on D flat, root. This is the 4th fret, 5th string. 2nd finger on G, which is on the 5th fret, 4th string. 3rd finger on F, which is the major 3rd, and that's on the 2nd string, 6th fret. 4th finger on B natural, which is on the 7th fret, and it's on the 1st string. Okay? Now you repeat that F in the middle to create a melodic motion. And then we go to a C major 7 with an added 6. It's a really colorful chord because it's got what I call a cluster, a step in the chord, A to B. Okay, here's how it's fingered. 3rd finger on the 5th string. This is 3rd fret. E, which is the major 3rd. 1st finger on the 2nd fret on the 4th string. A, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, 3rd string, and then open B and open A. If you want, you could either play this chord by strumming down or by breaking it up. I like to break it up. See how I create a little arpeggio by going thumb, 1st finger, 2nd and 3rd finger, and then sometimes you can grab that top note with the 3rd finger. Which brings me to another point. You heard me play the performance of this song in a really specific way, but you don't have to play it that way. This is jazz. You're free to sort of color it however you want. If you want to play a downstroke, if that suits your sensibility, or if you would prefer breaking it up, you can do that too. So, let's play the lead in to the next line, and then we'll take a little pause and create another segment, because that's a lot of information. Okay, so this little lead in right here is a melodic lead in. And it's an improvised passage based on using a C major scale over a C major chord. Again, if you want to go deeper, there are videos that deal with this subject in a lot of detail at all the levels, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. So this is a line that starts on the 5th, goes up the scale, and then skips to the 2nd degree of the scale, goes down the scale, back up the scale, and then ends up going to a C minor chord. All right, so let's talk about the fingering of that. G with the 4th finger on the 5th fret, A on the 3rd string with the 1st finger on the 2nd fret, B with the third finger on the 4th fret, 3rd string, 2nd finger on D, which is on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, 4th finger on C, which is on the 5th fret, 3rd string, B, 3rd string, 4th finger, and then back to C, 5th fret, 4th finger on the 3rd string. So the passage sounds like this. Okay, so here it is slowly from the beginning. From the very beginning of the tune to where we just stopped. No shift necessary. Okay, that takes us to the downbeat of the new phrase of the tune. So let's take a little break, take some time to digest that. That's a lot of information. And feel free to, if you don't want to deal with the harmonic information, to just ditch that and learn it as you would learn a classical piece. All right, enjoy adding your own touch to all the things you are.